If I were only allowed to take one supplement for the rest of my life, the choice wouldn't be that hard. It's vitamin D by a mile. It's really quite amazing to me that something so important gets misused or overlooked to the degree that vitamin D does. I'm about to set all that straight right now and show you how to best supplement this critically important hormone. So let's get started. Vitamin D is what's called a prohormone. These are substances in which the body converts into a hormone. This particular prohormone is used in over 1,000 functions in the body. Vitamin D being a hormone is often linked to testosterone production. There have been numerous studies done on the correlation between vitamin D and testosterone. One study done at a medical university in Austria found that when healthy males took just over 3,000 IU of vitamin D daily for a year, they ended up with 25.2% more testosterone on average than the placebo group. Many other studies seem to confirm that same trend. Oh, and I will mention that vitamin D is more effective at preventing the flu than the actual flu shot is. Without this hormone, you're prone to develop just about every disease known to mankind. Let me just mention a few of the common ones here. High blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, osteoporosis, heart disease, kidney disease, rickets, and depression. I think it goes without saying that this is one vitamin you don't want to be deficient in. An article from the Cleveland Clinic back in 2018 stated that 42% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D. And those numbers are even higher for those in the elderly group or in nursing homes, sitting around the 65% mark. I'd say there's two main causes for this. First is that the government guidelines for daily intake is way too low. They recommend just 600 IU, while many nutritionists will urge people to take up to 4,000 IU per day. It's quite a large difference for just a daily time frame. The only reason that the government came to that 600 IU number in the first place was to cover rickets. So that's like the bare minimum. And we all know that you'll never excel at anything by doing the bare minimum. All right? The other huge problem that we have is all the false information about sunlight exposure and vitamin D. The sun is by far the best way to get your vitamin D, but very few people actually do. You only need about 15 minutes of the sun per day, but there are a lot of conditions that also need to be met. Vitamin D only comes from UVB rays, and these rays are not easy to come by. There are multiple factors affecting this, including time of day, season, latitude, altitude, clouds, etc. On average, only about 5% of the sun rays are UVB, so plan your sunbathing accordingly. Now there is a second part to this. Your body needs to absorb it through your skin, and this doesn't happen instantly. So if you were to come inside and take a shower after your sun exposure, you'd essentially be wiping away all your efforts. Yes, vitamin D does wash off. I would advise not showering for at least 8 hours after your sun exposure. Better yet, just shower the next morning. And also on a side note, cholesterol is needed to make the vitamin D within your body. So if you're taking statins or you're on a low cholesterol diet, you're not doing yourself any favors. Let's also factor in that vitamin D is not so easy to obtain from your diet, which makes it all the more important to supplement daily. Here are the main foods known for vitamin D content. Mushrooms are one great source of this hormone. Portobello and maitake, I don't really know how anyone says that. Mushrooms, in particular, are great. If those mushrooms have been exposed to the sun, they can yield up to 500 IU or even 950 IU per 100 grams, respectively. Wild salmon is another great source, coming in at around 860 IU. Egg yolks and oysters, they come in with a little bit less in that 200 to 300 range. And of course milk, which is fortified with vitamin D. So it's essentially the same thing as supplementing it. but I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and guess that these are not foods people eat all that often, outside of maybe milk. So let's finally move on to the best supplements and how to take them for the best bioavailability. Rule number 1 is always take your vitamin D with vitamin K2. Rule number 2, see rule number 1. This is the most important thing that you can do. I don't have time to get into all the biochemistry right now, but let's just say that they work synergistically to a very high degree. Next, make sure you're taking D3 and not a D2 supplement. I don't know why D2 supplements are even produced at all, but they're still out there, so double check that. As far as the form goes, liquid is always the best absorbed. If it comes in a spray or a liquid tincture, then that's fantastic. If you just can't do that, then a soft gel would be the next best option. Just avoid anything coming in a capsule or a powder. A fat-soluble vitamin should always be manufactured in an oily looking substance. And finally, take it after a meal that contains animal fats or like coconut oil. Maybe after something like a big fat juicy grass-fed steak. So here are the two products that I like the best. The Now brand and the Carlson brand each have a nice D3 K2 combo in a liquid tincture or dropper. I'll leave links to both of these products in the description. Give me a like if you made it this far. Please subscribe if you haven't already. With that said, have a great week. Stay healthy, everybody.